Hello, and welcome to the Performer's Guide. My name is Kristen Railing, and in this video, we will be discussing your brand colors. Did you know that the human eye can distinguish between 10 million different colors, and that computers can actually display up to 1 billion colors, more than our eyes are even capable of processing? So, of course, it's going to be difficult for a brand to choose a brand color when there's so many colors available to us. How does one choose the proper color for our brand? And so in this video, we will be discussing just that, how to choose a brand, not based on colors you like, but colors that speak to your target market and really generate the psychological feelings that we want our customers to feel. And so the first thing we really want to understand is what colors are available to us. And for this, we will turn to the color wheel. The color wheel in its most basic form was discovered by Sir Isaac Newton, who discovered that colors could generally be broken down into 12 colors that look like this. When broken in half, the wheel could either be described as warm colors or cool colors. Warm colors are red, orange, and yellow variant colors, and cool colors are green, blue, and purple colors. Warm colors are generally thought of as more intense, warm, summertime vibes, and cool is a calmer, wintertime, chilled out vibe. And so first you can distinguish what is the vibe of your brand, and that'll start to help distinguish what colors you'll choose there. We can see here we have a lot of different brands that choose to use a wide variety of colors along the color spectrum. And then on the bottom, we have some companies that utilize all of the colors in the color spectrum, utilizing more of a rainbow pattern. And we're going to go into depth on this more in a little bit here. So first we have our primary colors. Primary colors are colors that cannot be broken down into any other color. These are base form colors. We have red, blue, and yellow. When those colors are mixed together, they create secondary colors, and those colors are purple, green, and orange. And we can see here that even as we mix the two colors, blue and red, or blue and yellow, or yellow and red, we can get a wide variety of color pattern options just here. And so we really want to start to play with sliding scales of color and what works best for our palette. Then we have the tertiary colors. The tertiary colors come from combining the secondary colors. And here we show them here on the wheel. And here we can show a fuller sliding scale of all of the colors that we just talked about. Primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. So looking at this, you can start to choose which colors you like for your palette. Then we have color nuances. And so this is what takes the color wheel from 12 available color options to hundreds of color options available for our brand. So at the top, we have hues. Hues are the color in their most saturated form, unaltered by any other color. It's true color form. Then we have tints, tones, and shades. When we do tinting, we're adding white. When we have tones, we add gray. And when we add black, we get different shades of colors. And so you can see how tints sort of create that pastel, and then the shading sort of gives it that autumn vibe. And so you can see how almost every color can match together as long as it's within the same tint, tone, or shade. And here's the color wheel once we've incorporated tint, tone, and shade. And so the center of the wheel is the tone or the hue in its fullest form, right? That's the full color spectrum. And then when we go out, we're getting shade. And when we're going in, we're getting tint. Now that we know what colors are available to us and what depth of color we want to use, we can start to think about color schemes and how we want to put the colors together. And so for a brand, there's a few different options of the way that we can choose our colors. If we're just drawn to one particular color, that's considered a monochromatic scheme, and you can add both tint, tone, and shade to that individual color to create a more varied depth of brand color. Here's some examples of monochromatic coloring, and then you can see a few brands have done what we're going to talk about next, which is complementary colors. Complementary colors are two colors across from each other on the color wheel. So you've got the classic red and green. We've got purple and yellow, and then orange and blue for our primary and secondary complementary colors. Then we have what's called split complementary. So whatever your main dominant color would be, so let's say in this case it would be blue, the color directly complementary to it, instead choose the colors one to the left and one to the right of that. And you can choose that pattern with any color, and you just choose one dominant color, go straight across, and then instead just choose the colors right next to it. Then we have the double split complementary. And so whatever two colors would be complementary right across from each other, you would, again, just choose the left and the right colors on both sides. And I don't have it on here, but you can also do a full box square. So you can see how this creates more of a rectangle. You can create a square by choosing any third color. So if I pick the purple color, then I just go 1, 2, 3. All right, teal. 1, 2, 3, yellow. 1, 2, 3, orange. Okay, and so you can do that with any color combination. Then we have the double complementary. So if any two complementary colors go together well, any set of complementary colors will also go together well. And so this allows for a really wide, varied amount of different types of color palettes, schemes, brand identification that we can utilize for our brand. And so I like to think of this like a clock, and the hands, the arrows that are across from each other have to be directly across from each other, but they can sort of turn like a clock. It could be 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, any amount of times. Then we have what's called the analogous colors. That basically just means any three colors right next to each other on the color wheel. And you can see what a beautiful, varied patterns it makes. I just love looking at these and choosing different colors for different palettes. Now that we have an understanding of what colors are available to us and how we can put them together, we want to utilize color psychology in our choice for our brand colors. And so for this part, we're going to go over the different colors that we just talked about that are available to us and how they psychologically and emotionally affect humans and essentially our consumers. And a lot of times I hear brands just choosing colors based on what they like. And instead, we really want to be an open feedback loop for how do these colors make my clients feel and how do I want them to actually feel? Okay. And so some examples are yellow, optimistic, warm. And we got orange, it's friendly, confident. Red, it's exciting, bold. We've got purple, it's for creatives. Blue is technically a trustworthy color. It's one you want to think of as a dependable brand. And then we've got green, which is always thought of as eco-conscious and health conscious. And so we're going to go over these in more depth as well. And then you can see on the right there, we've got, again, the rainbow brands. And many of them are rainbow, like the MBC, but some of them are just complementary primary colors. So first we've got red. Red is classically known as a very intense color, warm, hot, fire, danger. It's used as a warning sign sometimes. It's very passionate, right? It's thought of as a romantic color. And so we can just sort of play with these ideas. Am I a romantic business? Am I a fiery, energetic business? Or potentially you're having a red sale, red hot fire sale, and you want to utilize red to draw attention to discounts that a client could be using on your website. Here are some examples of red logos, and you can see like classically board games are red, they're fun, toys, also exploratory businesses like NASA or Virgin Airlines, Avis car rental. You think, ooh, I'm going on a road trip, it's adventurous, right? And again, when we're talking about color, a lot of times I hear my clients just say red. My brand's red, orange, yellow. But if we can get more specific about our coloring and what our brand color is, it'll really set us apart and differentiate our brand. And so here are a few red colors that you can start to utilize. Like, are you closer to the mahogany or a rose, cherry? There's a lot of different options here. Then we have orange. Orange, I think of as youthful, playful, energetic, fun, spontaneous. It's just a vibrant, bright color that says, look at me, I'm bold, and I am loud. So my favorite classic is Nickelodeon, right? And you can see here, they've got two different oranges. When they first started out, they just had a classic orange, some basic orange. But then they actually modified and tweaked the orange to be something that's completely unique and something that they actually patented. So nobody else can utilize that specific color orange, which I think is really cool and something that you really want to think of. Just don't pick the basic bitch orange, right? You're going to pick a really specific tone of orange so that when people look at it, they think, oh, that's my brand. That's the one I want to go to. I remember that one. And again, you've got a wide variety of oranges that we can go through here. You've got rust, bronze, kind of that dark orange, all the way up to almost yellow orange, goldish orange, and everything in between. Then we've got yellow. Yellow is thought to be as the most cheerful color. It's bright, it's sunny, you think of a sunny day. It also is known to create stimulation, and so it makes you hungry. And so you can see classically a lot of food, fast food, restaurants, they are going to utilize yellow. Something you want to make people hungry, stimulated and excited in some way, you're going to use yellow. But what color yellow? Are you using mustard, lemon, banana? There's so many different types of yellows that we can utilize for our brand. Then we have green. Green is classically the recycling, natural, holistic, thoughtful brand color. So if you have a brand that's outdoorsy, adventurous, or is based on environmental consciousness, you're going to want to utilize green. Here are some classic green logos that utilize that vibe of I'm eco-conscious. I think one of the classic is Starbucks. Starbucks is always trying to appear as though they are eco-conscious and eco-friendly and forward thinking. And so in order to express that just through their logo, they've made it green. And also things like Tropicana, it's an orange, it's natural. Whole Foods, they're known to have natural whole foods. And so, of course, they're going to utilize green for their brand. And there's so many different kinds of greens we can utilize. And so you really want to think, what's the tone of green for your brand? Then we have blue. Blue is calming, it's relaxing, it's meditative, mindful. I think of the ocean or the beach, being outside, the wind, the air. It's clean, it's dependable, classic, long-standing. That's the vibe of blue. And so if overused, it can be depressing. So it's also thought of as just a depressing color to utilize in a bedroom is the classic thought. But if used sparingly and correctly, blue is an incredible brand color. Here are some brands that utilize blue. Banks. They want you to think they're dependable, long-standing. You can give us your money. We're trustworthy. Blue. And you can also see like aeronautical and space also use blue because they want to also appear trustworthy. And computer companies, tech companies, Facebook, IBM, Dell, Intel, all those companies also like to utilize blue. Just let you know standing and then we have purple. Purple is known for only royalty were able to afford the expense that it would cost to get purple dye and dye their clothes purple. And so even though now purple is easy to replicate, there's still that stigma of royal wealth, affluence, also mystery, it's a little bit mystery. And then spiritual and religious organizations also utilize purple. So purple is classically known as sort of a feminine color because it's often used for shampoos, baby products. You can see Curves, Hallmark, Babies R Us, shampoo companies. They're all utilizing purple so they don't appear too feminine, using pink as a choice, but just sort of signifying to the client that, hey, we're available for a female brand. This is like my favorite color palette. I just love it so much. I love purples. And so there's so many beautiful purples that are available for your brand. Then we've got black. Black is super sleek and it tells your audience, I don't need color to draw your eye to my brand. My brand speaks for itself. It's like modest but arrogant at the same time. And it's also just very simple. For me, it's a very simple brand choice because a lot of things match with black, and then you can utilize black and gold, which is actually the branding that I utilize for the performer's guide. I love it. I just feel like it's clean, simple, and speaks for itself. Here are some other brands that utilize black in their branding. You can see like Gucci, Chanel, Puma, Prada. These are upscale brands. They want you to know right off the bat that they're luxury, upscale, they're going to be more expensive. And just having a black or gold brand will already just let your clients know what the cost expectations will be. And you can also see down here newspapers, classically, because they literally are on black and white, black ink on white paper. They do tend to have black and white brands simply because they're literally being printed on newspapers. So again, we have so many different types of black. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, oh, my brand color is onyx. You know, like that just, oh, what? That's cool. So really try to define it much clearer. Then we have white. White is the opposite or negative space of a logo. So it's literally like not having a logo. There's a border that creates the logo in some way. And so here's a few examples of that. Here are some classic wall painting colors that you can use to decorate your interior home. They're exaggerated so our eyes can see them, but really just show us again how many different color whites there are available to us. Then we have gray. Gray is the combination of black and white and is both a good shadow color as well as a good color all on its own. And so you can utilize it as a gray or more metallic, which we're going to go into. But I also love it if your brand is specifically black or white. You can use gray, and sort of that blend of the three can really give your brand a lot of depth. And so here's some examples of brands that utilize gray. They're simple, they're subtle, they're chic. You can see some are gray, some have that more metallic coloring by adding a little bit of white in the shine. I love gray logos as well. Here's some grays that are exaggerated in the color depth, and you can see just how many different color gray options there are for your brand as well. Then we've got the metallics. The metallics, I think, really speak to class, wealth, upscale brands, because they're literal resources. When you think of gold, silver, bronze, these are physical earth elements that we hold near and dear to our hearts. And so when we see this in branding, we automatically think, oh, this brand has value, because we see value in metallic and bronzed items. And so with copper specifically, it's a conductor. It's literally a conductive object. And so if your brand is also conductive, utilizing copper or bronze is going to be really cool for your brand. Here are some browns. I love the Louis Vuitton. You can really utilize and see that gold on top of that brown. It just feels so classy, and you really can already tell what you're going to get from that brand. And then we've got all of the different brand brown options available to us here. Then we've got gold. Gold is luxury, it's class, it's the pinnacle of wealth, right? It's success, wealth. I love it. I mean, aside from that, I just think it's a really beautiful color that offsets a lot of coloring, especially if you're utilizing red, black, white, gray. I mean, really over top of almost any color. It's beautiful and really adds a nice sheen to some of your marketing. Here's some other sort of tannish, brownish colors you can utilize for your brand. So maybe you don't want to go full brown or full bronzed, but you're utilizing, maybe even a human figure artwork in your branding. You'll want to make sure you have a full understanding of what the color tone of that you'll want to use. Then we've got pink. And pink is another classically feminine color for branding. And it's an interesting story because blue actually used to be the feminine color, because when you think about the color palette, red is a fiery hotter, right? And then blue is the cooler, calmer color. And so red was thought of as a masculine color, and blue was thought of as a feminine color. And so when babies were born, baby boys were put into pink and baby girls were put into blue. But then some sexist guy said, pink's a man's color. And we were kind of like, no, actually, we're going to do a huge marketing campaign and take over pink. And that's sort of how pink became such a feminine color that it is today. And you can see how it's still represented in feminine brands like Johnson & Johnson and other bath products as well. So many beautiful pink colors that we could utilize on a wide variety of scale of shade and tone. Then we've got rainbow colors. Rainbow brands say, I'm here, I can't be put in a box, I can't be encapsulated by one color, I am not, you just can't contain me. That, or it is a pride business, which is amazing. And so both of those types of brands could utilize rainbow branding. And you can see how Apple here, it has a rainbow brand logo. And if you noticed in previous slides, they had a silver logo, they had a white logo, a black logo. You can also choose different coloring for different seasons, for different target audiences, for different social and socio-political statements. All of these times you can sort of choose specific colorings for your brand, which can sort of change as the political tide changes as well. So now we understand color psychology. We understand color wheel, what colors are available to us, and how we can choose colors in a very systematic way to create the most aesthetically pleasing color scheme. And so now it's time to actually pick our color palette. And so what I recommend to do is to create a vision board first. So this is especially important if you're someone who's not entirely sure what your brand colors are, or maybe if after watching this video, you feel like, oh my God, I love every color and I want every color to be my brand color. So if you can create a vision board of photos that really inspire you, photos from previous gigs, photos from just beautiful aesthetics, and you can start to see what palettes just generally are popping up, right? You can kind of see what your aesthetic becomes. And so here you can see, I just pulled a bunch of photos about Japan. And you can see how red is a really strong tone here. And then it's also got sort of a bluish green secondary toning here, which if you think back, red and green are complementary colors. So you can start to see, oh, okay, maybe red and green might be a good brand coloring for this, for my trip to Japan. And then perhaps you have these colors and you have created your mood board. And you can create your mood board in Pinterest is what I suggest. You can create it in Pinterest or you can create it in Canva. And wherever you create your mood board, you can then pop into canva.com/colors, and it'll take you to a page that has these 4 options. You've got the color palette generator, color palette ideas, the color wheel, and color meanings. So what you could do is take one of the photos from your amazing mood board, pop it into the color palette generator, and it'll choose 4 colors for you. And I think that this is a really amazing way to choose colors very quickly. If you already have like business photos, performance photos, just slap one of those in there and it'll grab color. One thing I have noticed is it has to be a very color rich image. If it's dark or shadowed or grainy or not well lit, it'll kind of come out very darker colors that don't really speak to anyone's brand, really. So you really want to have a really sharp, crisp, bright image like you can see here. Or maybe you don't even have a mood board. You don't have previous images. You don't even know where to start with that. You don't even know what colors you could even think or want. You can pop into color palette ideas and literally just scroll and scroll and scroll, and it'll give you so many ideas of palettes that you can choose. You can just, I like one color from this palette and one color from that palette, or maybe like an entire palette, and you can just be like, boom, there we go, brand, color, problem solved. So maybe you got some colors from pulling an image, or maybe you got some colors that you liked from browsing around, but it didn't create like a full palette or anything that created more inspiration. You can pop over to the color wheel, and if you at least have one color that you really like, you can throw it into this generator and then decide. Here you can see it says complementary, but you could decide if you wanted it to be the triad, the double complementary, double split complementary. It'll give you between 2 to 4 color palette ideas. And then you can just take your thumb and literally slide that small white circle around, and it'll give you different complementary color ideas or the such. And it's just super fun to play around with the color wheel. Maybe you're a really symbolic person and you don't really know what colors you want, but you know very strongly the feeling and aesthetic of your business that you know you want to portray. If that's you, you're going to pop into the color meaning and symbolism page. And here you can see you've got the yellow and orange. But again, if you just keep scrolling, it has so many beautiful, amazing colors. And then you click on it and it'll give you the meaning and symbolism of those colors. There's also coolers.co. It's not colors.com, it's coolers.co, which is interesting. So here, the site is so cool. It'll have a randomly generated palette, and then every time you hit refresh, it'll completely regenerate a new palette. And so you can see here with 3 refreshes, And then let's say I liked, okay, the middle top color. I was like, ooh, that red is amazing. I could lock it and then continue to refresh, and it'll refresh colors based on the color that I locked. And then you can continue to choose all the way down and create your color palettes. And so that's what I did with the one on the left. I just like randomly, I was like, okay, let's just even choose like this random gray. And then it still came out to this like really beautiful blue palette, blue, purple, gray palette, which I really liked. Then after playing around with all of those, I really suggest that you create something like this, which is a brand palette that have both the color and the code on it, so that if you later go to make branding and forget what your colors are, you can remember. Or if you hire a digital designer to build your brand colors, that they are building everything specifically on brand. Because I've seen businesses that have operated over years using different designers that didn't solidify these codes. And when looked across the field of all the years, it was just like a slightly different shade, tone, and hue of all the colors, and therefore made none of the branding relevant towards the next year. And so in order to keep your digital assets relevant for a longer period of time, you're going to definitely want to have very solid brand colors with the codes that you can utilize at any time, and also just frees up your mind for digital design. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kristen Railing. This is the Performer's Guide. And I really hope that this helped you find your brand colors and choose your brand palette with ease and confidence. Thank you so much.